Howdy, howdy do, Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And welcome back. This is episode 248.
Oh, yes.
One day, I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.
Our lives are different to anybody else's. That's the exciting thing. Nobody in the universe can do what we're doing.
I've reversed the polarity of the neutron flow, so the TARDIS should be free of the force field now.
You may be a doctor, but I'm the doctor. The definite article, you might say.
The trouble with time travel is, one never seems to find the time.
Change, my dear, and it seems not a moment too soon.
Unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc.
I am the Doctor!
For now, for this moment, I am the Doctor again.
The ground beneath our feet is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, and the entire planet is hurtling around the sun at 67,000 miles an hour, and I can feel it. We're falling through space, you and me.
People assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect, but actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
I could be a curator. I'd be great at curating. I'd be the great curator.
I could retire and do that.
I'm the Doctor. I've lived for over 2,000 years, and not all of them were good. I've made many mistakes, and it's about time that I did something about that.
Bit of adrenaline, dash of outrage, and a hint of panic knitted my brain back together. I know exactly who I am. I'm the Doctor. Sorting out fair play throughout the universe.
Howdy, howdy do, Who fans. Hope you've all had a cracking week. That you've all managed to do something Doctor Who related. Indeedy. It's good to have you back, buddy.
Thanks, man. It's good to be back.
Yeah. It's flying solo last week. It didn't feel the same.
I did listen to the pod, though. I did listen, and it was a nice little nugget to throw in there. So what would that have been? episode 247 and a half. Or B. Yeah. Or but no, it's nice. It was cool because you got to recap on stuff, that we did, because we had a good weekend. And I was really gutted that I couldn't I was itching to do the podcast almost there and then. I was saying to you, wasn't I, I really want to talk about all this that we've been doing, the BFI and stuff. So yeah, great little pod. I'm glad you got to do that.
Cheers, dude.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So it was good to, I wanted to do that just because it was all fresh in my mind, So I gave everybody my reviews and thoughts on the BFI, Curse of Fenric, on that show. But what did you think?
I really enjoyed it. You pretty much spoke for me. I think I was nodding along to pretty much everything you said on the podcast. It was a great day, as usual, a brilliant event. The screening itself, Fenric is a story I've always really liked, but to see it on the big screen in that sort of movie format worked really, really well with that particular story, because I quite like cliffhangers. I like the build up to them. So sometimes I'm not too keen on when they sort of cut them out. So what was the one we saw where they did that before? Like Genesis of the Daleks kind of works. It's such a long story. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I missed the cliffhangers in Sharda when we went to see the animation version. I felt that was too long. It needed sort of breaking up. But this one, I think it worked really, really well, because the story takes its time and it unfolds and it just builds and builds and builds, so that when we got to that ending with the sort of playoff between the Doctor and the Ancient One and all that, and I nearly said spoilers then. I don't know. I'm sure people have seen it, but the bit with Ace where she thinks he's betrayed her and all that. It was just, even though I've seen it many times before, really, really, I thought just a fantastic piece of television. I was sat there thinking, man, this is so good. This is really good stuff, and to think this is in the season when it was axed, to think that they were to this standard on such a tiny budget, but producing such quality. To think that it was axed after quality like this, it's. But yeah, I loved it. I thought it worked incredibly well. I thought it did a great job with the remastering. Marquez talked about how they wanted the rain to get heavier and the picture to get darker as the episode went on. So they made a few tiny little tweaks, and it really did work. And I was worried about where I was sat, because I don't know if you remember, but initially I missed out on getting a ticket, even though I was there the second they went on sale. Do you remember? I had like a meltdown because they literally sold out within seconds right in front of my eyes. But I did manage to get a ticket after frantically refreshing for about an hour. And I was right at the back, right at the very back, right in the corner. So back row, very last seat in the corner. And I thought, what a rubbish seat, but at least I'm there. But it wasn't bad, actually. It still had a good view of the screen. I think that's what's good about the BFI. Even though I was literally in probably the worst seat in the house, I still had a good view of the screen. And the sound was fantastic. I don't know if it's because I was near one of the speakers or if it is just the sound system in that place. But when the thunder was rumbling and the music, everything sounded so epic. I was just sat there just like loving it, basically. So yeah, as you can probably tell, I really enjoyed the screening. There was a nice little signing with Sophie and Andrew Cartmel afterwards. Andrew remembers me from when he does the podcast. You'll be pleased to know he's not forgotten us.
Okay.
And he gave me a free little autograph as well, because I was a little bit worried because I've got loads of stuff signed by him, and I didn't have a lot of money, but I wanted to get Sophie to sign one of the little special BFI cards that they've been doing for the last couple, where they print out the Lee Binding artwork. So I was like, I'm going to get that signed by Sophie, but I'm a little bit embarrassed because Andrew's going to see me. He's going to recognize me because he always does, and I'm not going to buy anything from him. But he was lovely. He was like, oh, hey, how you doing? And we chatted, and I said, oh, I never knew that the Doctor was saying all the companions' names under his breath in that scene in Fenric, because I never knew that. I thought he was just mumbling rubbish.
I think most people did.
Yeah. Well, Andrew was quick to put us right. And he's like, hey, man. And he started signing this thing. And I thought, oh, no, I haven't got any money, Andrew. And he's like, hey, have this, man. Have it, man. And I was like, oh, thanks. So that was cool. Lovely to meet those guys. Sophie's adorable. Just absolutely lovely as ever.
Yeah.
She really is. I agree with you you were saying on the pod about there does seem to be a big buzz around Ace again. What with the book coming out and that lovely cinematic trailer. Do you think that, I mean, you do, I know, because you said it on the podcast, but I'm starting to think there is a slight chance they're testing the water for a little spin-off there, which personally I would love to see.
Yeah, I honestly...
Something's in the air, isn't it?
Something is in the air, and I feel like there is a bit of a gap at the moment with Doctor Who spin-offs. It's such a tricky thing to get right, because I think in the past, because as our listeners will know who've listened to the show for the past 10 months now to a year, we've absolutely loved reviewing the Sarah Jane adventures.
Loved it, yeah.
And I think you share my opinion in this, but I would say from what we've seen so far of the first, I think we're in series 2 now, we'll come up to the end of it, that this is my favourite Doctor Who spin-off by far.
Definitely.
Because don't get me wrong, Torchwood's not bad at all, but it doesn't have the same feeling, the same atmosphere and vibe that Sarah Jane has. And obviously we won't talk about class, Some people like that, but I think overall it's a bit of a, the fact that they didn't renew it is, kind of telling. We don't need to go down that road again. But I do feel like there is a bit of a gap with the spin-offs at the moment, and I'm not saying that they necessarily have to do one, but if they were going to do one, I think Ace would be the perfect character to do it, because she spans in exactly the same way that Liz Sladen did. She spans those both eras of Doctor Who so well.
Yeah.
And I think she's very relatable as well, Ace. There's so many things we can go talk about with Ace, but it would be a great move, I think, if they did a spin-off. And they could just do a clone of Sarah Jane, to be honest with you. They could just team Ace up with some younger companions and off they go. Adventures to be had. It would be a great series. So I do feel like she's had a lot of exposure, the character, over the last couple of months. So
it does feel like it. And the new book is Ace pairing up with the 13th Doctor as well. And I kind of think that does seem like it could work very well. I can imagine that because Ace is such a strong character. I'd be all for it. I mean, this is all in our heads. We don't know that anything's happening. I just felt when I was listening to your podcast the other day, I just felt, I got that same vibe. It especially when she said in the Q&A, Andrew said, "Oh, it was a great rounding off," and she was like, "Or a great beginning." There was that sort of little twinkle, wasn't there?
Yeah, exactly.
What is there something you want to tell us, Sophie? But maybe not. Maybe this is it. But either way, it's just lovely to have Ace, such a brilliant character, pushed right to the forefront again. And I think Russell T Davies, didn't he sort of say, she was kind of the model for when he sort of was bringing the show back for like Rose, that sort of strong female companion that gets, stuck into the action and stuff. So like you said, very relevant, I think, for today. So fingers crossed, buddy. I'd love to see it, but whatever happens with the character of Ace, whether it's books or whatever, it's just really nice to have it, I think.
Yes, I think as a backup plan, we can probably rely on Big Finish to do like Ace's own run of adventures where she's not a companion, she's,
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't done that, actually. Thinking about it, they've done everything else.
Yeah, they've done literally everything. Well, almost everything.
I'm surprised they haven't done that. It's definitely there for the taking. But so a great event. It was really, really nice, I have to say, to get the Series 12 trailer shown on the big screen as well, because we did wonder, didn't we? Because we knew we'd be in there about the time it was shown. We were like, well, it's 3:00, so we'll probably just about still be in there. But I wasn't sure because I know, we know how sort of tight with security Chibers is about, I was thinking, would he let them have it or will they show it from YouTube? How will this work? So after we got to see some of the new specials features for the season 26 box set, when that trailer came on, because it starts straight away with her and the TARDIS, I thought, oh wow, here we go. And I couldn't really take it in, to be honest. It was almost as if I was... Because it was sort of expected, but I didn't know if we were going to get it. So I was still a little bit surprised. I don't know about you. I was like, oh, wow, we are getting to see it. Right. Oh, gosh, here we go. But by the time my brain had computed that, we were already sort of 20 seconds into it. And I'm like, oh, it was quite a lot for me to take in, I think, even, for that sort of short trailer. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, do you want to talk about the new trailers now? Because I know we've got another one has landed since then as well. So we've got two sort of similar but different trailers, haven't we, for season 12?
Yeah. So I wanted to get your thoughts. But so the only bit of news we have this week is the brand new trailer that's landed, which has got the reveal date for when the new series is going to kick off, which we knew anyway, and the title of the first story. But before we get onto that, I just wanted to get your thoughts on that first trailer that dropped, because I feel like you and I might have had slightly different views or opinions after seeing that. I was very upbeat and quite up for it after seeing it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, yeah, it definitely. So, I thought it was a good trailer. It definitely, because I've been very unexcited, really. I mean, I have to be honest, my excitement levels for Doctor Who have dropped massively. I can't lie. It's just a fact. They have. Doesn't matter what I do or what I see, like the promotional images that we've got, which have been very few and far between, the Jadoon and a few others. It's just done nothing to get my excitement going. So bearing in mind, that's the sort of state of mind I was in, of really not being very bothered about this particular era of Doctor Who, if you like. It's kind of, I think you said it on the pod, you're a bit sort of, yeah, whatever, if we get to see it, that'd be cool, not really bothered. I was sort of in that frame of mind, So as I said, when it did air, I sort of, it took for a while for me to process it, really, because on some levels it really grabbed me. I thought, okay, there seems to be, he's given a bit more away in this trailer. We're getting to see monsters for a start. That I thought was a major plus. Because one of the things we said about the Series 11 trailer was it gave us very little to get our teeth into, apart from the fact, it's the new Doctor. There was lots of running around, a few little pyrotechnics, but nothing to make you go, ooh. This trailer, especially having rewatched it a few times now, It's definitely hooked me back in. There's no two ways about it. It's hooked me back in. I feel like I agree with you that it feels like Jodie is perhaps going to get a bit more development with her Doctor. It looks like she's going slightly darker. There's still the humor there, but there's this thing about that something's coming for her and all that. And I agree. It looks like it's stepped up a level. But yeah, my initial thoughts on it were when I came out the screening, you were very excited. I was, I just thought, yeah, that was good. I thought that was good. It definitely was on point. But I was not underwhelmed in any way, but perhaps wasn't quite as buzzing as you. But I think that's more to do with my overall feelings towards this era of Doctor Who at the minute. But I'll pick up more on this when we get to the new trailer, because as I said, I do think that first trailer was really good.
Yeah.
Definitely did what it needed to do. And that was give us some monsters, give us some action, and it looked absolutely cinematic, and it definitely did what it needed to do as far as I was concerned. Yeah,
I read you. I didn't think I'd feel like that afterwards either. I felt like the trailer wouldn't have an impact on me as much as it did, because you and I feel the same way about Series 11 mostly. So yeah, I didn't think I would be as hyped up as that afterwards, but yeah, I think it was just a really well put together trailer and did exactly what it needed to do.
Yeah. Definitely. As I said, I'll speak more because I think my thoughts more apply to this new trailer as well. So I'll pick up a little bit more on this when we get to the news section. The only other thing I wanted to mention just briefly was the J&T documentary, which I went to, which was absolutely fantastic. So this is going to be a new documentary on the season 26 Blu-ray called J&T, The Life of a Showman, I think it's called.
I think so.
Right? Something like that. Yeah, Life of a Showman. Because I wasn't sure whether to go to this because it started at 10 o'clock, so it sort of meant getting up early, and I'm not really one for getting up early. But I'm so glad I did it. It's 90 minutes long, but it tells the story of J&T really, really well. I mean, there are still... It didn't feel like 90 minutes. When it finished, I could have quite happily sat there for another half hour. There is still so much they could have told, but I think what they did tell was brilliant. It was a fantastic special feature. I really look forward to watching that again. It was so emotional. I was in bits when I came out of the theatre. I was literally tears streaming down my eyes for a good, even sort of 20 minutes later when I was going back in to watch Curse of Fenric, it was still with me. It still stayed with me. It really had an impact on me, that the stuff that was going on with Doctor Who at the time and J&T fighting to keep it on the air and the way he was treated by the BBC. I mean, I knew a little bit about that, but this goes into a bit more in depth, and it was it's fascinating. It's a great documentary, and it's a real treat for when the box set comes out. I tell you, real treat. It didn't shy away from things as well, if you know what I mean. It was honest. It was an honest documentary. It showed his flaws as well as his strengths. It was really, really good. Really good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching it. I couldn't make that screening, but not just you, everybody said the same thing, that it was really, really good and quite emotional, and so very nicely produced as well. Yeah, that's a good thing about these extra features on these box sets. They're really well produced. They've said that very briefly. I think Mark Ayres said it, that just amazed at the production value on all. It's, we are very, I know we complain about a lot of things generally, but we are very lucky to get these special edition box sets, and just the amount of features and the love and attention that's gone into the remasters, and the box artwork from Lee and all that stuff. It's just all comes together. So not many TV shows get that. So
no, that's right. And also when people say about, I don't know if I'm going to buy the box sets because I've already got them. Well, I totally get that, because you already spent a fortune buying your Doctor Who collection just for another version to come out. I totally get that. But I agree. Some of these features that they're putting on them now, they really are a labour of love. And this was a perfect example of that. They've gone to all the places that they talked about, that J&T, where he used to live, and this is where he used to go, and this is what he used to do. They've gone to all the places and filmed there. And I was thinking, God, they could have just got a photo, they could have just showed a photo of that.
Yeah.
If they were being lazy, but they want to make it as good as they can. So they've gone to the actual locations, and it really takes you into J&T's world. Like, they go to the theatre where he was taken by his dad, and you know, you're actually in the theatre as the camera zooms in over the chairs to the stage, and it really takes you into his world. And I thought, the producers have really gone to town on this. They've, as I said, they could have just gone on Google Images. Oh, we need a photo of that theatre. Do you know what I mean? But they went there, and it's a real labour of love. You can tell the people behind these sets are really into what they're doing. It makes such a difference. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that there's I've spoken to a lot of fans who missed the first box set, which was the Tom Baker, was it Series 12?
Series 12,
yeah. But I believe they're re-releasing that.
They are, yeah,
at some point. We don't know when they're doing that. So if you missed the first one and you picked up from the second one onwards, don't worry, the first one's coming back, because I think they're still going for ridiculous money, like £300-400 on eBay, those first ones.
I actually know someone that bought it for £350, and I said to him the other day, "Are you a bit gutted?" Because
just rub it in a little bit, yeah.
Well, yeah, I said to him at the time, like, "You haven't actually paid that, have you?" He's like, "Mate, I have been searching for months. Believe me, it's the best price I can get it." And I know that it would be. I was thinking, well, if he's buying it for £350, that's obviously, because very often I'll say, I don't know if you do this, but very often to justify some of the stuff I buy, I say to my other half, and I'm getting a good ear bash, we're buying Doctor, and I'll say, this is worth a fortune. I like this. I could sell this tomorrow for like 4 times the price. And it's always like, yeah, of course you can. But I'm thinking, but some things like that, I mean, I've got the season 12 box set. Yeah, if I went back a couple of months, I could have sold that for £400. Yeah. And I paid 30 for it.
Exactly.
And I actually could have got that money. You know what I mean? It's not just a sort of price where it will sit there on eBay because it's a silly price, but people have actually paid that. So I feel a little bit sorry for anyone that did, including my friend. But it's great news, really. And I kind of felt they had to do it, didn't they? Why would you go to all the effort of making that beautiful box set just for it to sit in the case? They've got to re-release it, hopefully with all the little errors fixed that were on it as well.
Yeah. No, hopefully, yeah, it'll be good, because I do, like I said, I know lots of fans who missed out on that first one, but then they thought, oh crap, if they'll jump up on the second one onwards.
Yeah,
but it's
which
just
was
that,
Davison, wasn't it?
Davison, yeah. It's just that OCD and that gap where you're picking them up as they come along, but you've got that little gap where season 12 should be. That'll kill you. So it's great that they're going to. Yeah, it's great they're going to do that. So. But as we've said many times, if you have the opportunity to pick these up, it's definitely worth it. The not just the content of the show itself with the remaster and the audio's now fantastic and all that stuff, but just the features themselves are all amazing stuff.
They are a real joy. There are still features on the Colin Baker one that I'm still working my way through, because that's got loads on there. Yeah,
same. Yeah, in fact, there's features on the Pertwee set I need to watch. I haven't watched a couple of those yet.
Oh, right, yeah.
So, keep you busy for hours, days.
Yeah, I was going to say, that is a nice set, because Katie Manning is all over it. And I can never get enough of Katie Manning.
Bless her.
So, yeah, bless her.
So, that's that's what we've been up to, I suppose.
I haven't been up to anything else apart from working. Yeah, I haven't done anything else, I don't think.
Sod all, mate. The only haul we were heading for was Sod all.
That's it. I was going to say, I think, the week before I watched The Web Planet, but I think that was, God, the weeks are flying by. I already spoke about that. I haven't got any Who in since then.
Exactly. Before we crack on with the news, just want to give a shout out to a good friend of ours from the Doctor Who Appreciation Society, Mr. Rick Moran. He's really, really ill recently. And so just want to say hello and just hope you're recovering, mate, and you're doing well. So, stay cool and get well quick, because we want to have that pint at the BFI. So,
ditto, mate. Yeah, we missed you at the BFI, and I was shocked when I saw Rick's picture on Twitter. So get well, get better soon, buddy.
Indeedy, yes,
for sure.
Rightio, shall we land it and do this bit of news?
Let's do it.
Series 12 is approaching very, very quickly. And we've had the Chibbers has kind of spoilt us over the last 2 weeks. It's some would argue, I suppose some people would argue that this is too little too late. In some people's opinions, whatever your thoughts on that, because I said on last week's show that it does feel a little bit like that, not too little too late, but it feels like they've left it very, very late in the year, and now they've just given us some cool stuff
at once.
Yeah, because I think filming or even production for Series 12 did kick off in January this year, so they've been doing it all through the year, and it's only in December that we've now got the teasers and the trailers and whatnot. However, that stuff aside, it is great to have this stuff. So we've spoken about the first trailer that landed, that Adam and I saw last weekend, and now a week's gone by, and now they've dropped a new trailer, which is around the first story that we're going to see from Series 12, which is a two-parter. And so we've now had confirmation from the Beeb that this is going to land on New Year's Day. It's going to be a two-parter, and the title for that first story is Spyfall, which is an obvious take on the James Bond film Something Fall. Skyfall. There we go. So what do you reckon to the title, dude? First of all, I've got a clip of the trailer before we listen to that. What's your thoughts on the Bond-esque thing?
This is probably going to be my only negative about this. I'm not really bothered. I think that's a really odd title. I don't know why producers have to go down this road. Stephen Moffat did this a lot, of like taking a title like Twice Upon a Time and just putting his own little spin. I mean, nothing wrong with it. Spyfall, great, but I don't know. It does make me think instantly Bond. But the thing I do love about it is some of the other Bond themes that people have now come up with to sort of put the two together, to put Doctor Who and Bond together. So there was some crackers coming up in a group chat I was in last night. I can't take credit for any of these, but I'll give you a couple of them. So we had Regenerate Another Day, which was good. From Gallifrey with Love.
Oh, very good.
Very good. The Living Daleks. So Living Daleks. Quantum of Sonics. Thought was a good one. And my absolute favourite, License to Sill, which which I thought was brilliant. There was loads. It just went on. Just everybody in the chat was trying to think of Doctor Who and Bond titles that they could mash together. I thought they were brilliant. So just for that alone, I guess I do like it. But Spyfall, I don't know. Don't know.
It's an interesting one. I think I think they're kicking off the series. Well, it seems to me like they're kicking off the series with a mix of humour and action in this one, because it does the trailer as well. You've got them turning up in tuxedos, and there's a scene where Lenny Henry's character, which we know from the trailer at least, that he's going to play a bad guy.
Looks like it, doesn't it?
That he's kind of whizzing along in a car and he's shooting at them from the window, and so it does feel like it's going to be an action-packed but funny episode to kick off Series 12. So anyway, let's give it a listen, see what we think.
Crisis. Big crisis. Serious crisis. Big, serious crisis. Kisses. It's quite French, that, isn't it?
Who are you, Doc?
You don't know me.
You're the woman that brought us together.
Something's coming for me.
We'll be right here, by your side.
Let's go.
Welcome to the end of your lives.
People can save planets or wreck them.
I will take everything.
Get away from them! Be the best of humanity. Consider as you hope restored. Fancy a trip in the box? We gotta save the world!
Fancy a trip in the box? She's stealing our lines.
Yeah, she is. Well, we know they listen. Straight off the bat, mate, I'm going to say I love it. This is I'm surprising myself saying this because of what I said earlier about just being so uninterested with Doctor Who right now. This has drawn me straight back in, like a little Chibnall fishing hook that's grabbed me by the mouth, and it has pulled me straight back to where I want to be.
I think dangled the carrot, and we've taken it.
Yeah, no, it really has. It's done the job. I'm I feel good about this because, yeah, I've been really just down on Doctor Who. And I don't know if it's the lack of promotion or just some of the aftermath of Series 11 or whatever. But yeah, this has grabbed me. I think the trailer's great. It looks brilliant. Performances look like they've been homed in a little bit more. Like Jodie, just even the way she's delivering her lines, these few lines that we've got to see already feels like there's a bit of an improvement there, which I hope. I don't want to get too carried away because I don't want to get disappointed. But my feelings towards this are very positive. I think it looks good. I think it just looks epic. It certainly made me really look forward to New Year's Day. So yeah, it looks good. I think it looks good. Very good. Very epic. I mean, gosh, it looks like it's had some money pumped into it. Let's put it that way. And it looks exciting. I think that's the thing that was missing from the Series 11 trailer. There's a few explosions, but there just wasn't much content. This has got a lot going on in it. Car chases. We've got monsters, which is one thing that was hugely lacking from Series 11. We've actually got monsters. Let's hope they actually do something. And as I said, just the overall tone to the trailer, there's a bit more heart to it, like the Doctor saying, "You don't know me," and all this stuff. It just feels like already it's got a bit more soul to the series, which I think was perhaps missing a bit from Series 11. So my feelings are good. Just really don't want to get too. Just don't let me down, Chibnall, please. I'm trying not to get too excited. But I am excited, and I'm really pleased about that because, yeah, I needed this. I needed this to bring me back in, and it's done it. So what about you? I'm guessing you loved the first one, so I'm guessing you loved this.
Yeah, I absolutely love this, bud. I think it's hard to watch it and not have a big old smile on your face afterwards.
Yeah.
I really do. Even if you weren't like us, even if you weren't, not that you hugely dislike Series 11, but you were just kind of middle of the road for some of it and not quite fussed about it. I think even for fans like that, I think you'd be very hard pushed to find anyone that was at the end of it said, well, that's rubbish or not looking forward to it. I think Chibbers so far is living up to his word where in an interview where he said that this is going to be an epic season or series of Doctor Who. So far, from what we've seen, that is going to be true. Just the quality in everything. The visuals, the audio, the action, the performance. The thing that's great about it is it's almost like they've pulled a McCoy with Jodie because they could have done this in Series 11, but they didn't really. They just went down the fam route and everything's fun and bubbly and everything's good. A bit like the Lego movie.
Everything is awesome. Yeah.
But I think in this one, in that clip in the trailer where you can hear Graham saying, "Who are you, Doc?" And she's like, "You don't know." It feels like we were exploring some of the things that they were doing with McCoy, where Ace a lot of the time said, "Professor, what's," and he was a bit of a politician almost. He never gave her a direct answer for things. He always kept her on the edge, like at arm's length, then brought her in, and then pushed her back out again. So it's almost like we're going back to the Doctor is alien. Let's not forget that. She's not human, and as much as she likes to muck in with that stuff, which was a big element of Series 11. We have to remind ourselves that she is alien, and they don't know her like they think they might know her. So that's almost like the mysterious, darker side of the McCoy era, which is really good. If they do that with Jodie's character, with Jodie, it's gonna be so good.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, mate. I think that's the thing. One thing I could never get my head around with Chibnall and the Series 11, the Jodie in Series 11 was because Chris Chibnall is a lifelong Doctor Who fan who's, been very vocal, quick to tell people like Pip and Jane how they should be doing their job when he was younger. He's had all this, all these years to get this dream job. He finally gets it, and I'm thinking, so you must have had some idea, like we all do, where we think, right, if I was ever to produce Doctor Who, what would I do? So I always felt like, where were those ideas? Like Series 11, I know he wanted to start afresh with things, but in terms of just the character's Doctor, if I was to write a Doctor, I sort of have ideas in my mind of what that Doctor would be like. With Jodie, I just never felt there was any sort of clear distinction of what her Doctor was like. And that really, a lot of that comes down to Chibnall. I'm thinking, so he's got the Doctor, this character that he's wanted to write all these years. Has he not got a sort of rough character in his head, apart from all I could really glean really from Series 11, Jodie, is this sort of bubbly, everything is awesome personality, you know? So I think with this series, I think he's sort of hopefully got that. We've started afresh out of his system. Now he's like, right, now where do I want to take my Doctor? That's what I'm hoping he's thinking. It's like, what do I want to do with the Doctor? Because presumably he's, you know, as a writer, this is what he's been dreaming of doing all these years, you know, like we all would. Like if I said to you, go and write Series 13, you'd be thinking, right, what do I want the Doctor to be doing? You know, so I'm hoping, he's got that done. He can now start to really put in whatever he's been planning all these years or whatever and create a great Doctor for us. And I hope that we get some lot more depth to her Doctor, because there's a lot of potential, I think, with this whole series, this whole setup that he's built. I think Series 11 was just a little bit too skeleton like, if you know what I mean. He needs to put a bit more meat on the bones, and this trailer looks like it's going to do that. That's certainly what I'm hoping anyway. And the other thing it's given us is something to get our teeth into. So the monsters, I mean, there's quite a few in this trailer. I don't remember any in Series 11. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think we saw the sniper bots maybe for a second. I don't remember seeing many monsters from the Series 11. There wasn't a lot to get our teeth into from what I recall in terms of like monsters and things. But this has given us a lot. We've got the Jadoon. Yeah, we know about that. We get an epic shot of the Cyberman, which looks awesome.
Yeah.
Everything is awesome, but it does look really good, doesn't it?
It does.
The Cyberman looks battered, and maybe there's a human hand there, it looks like. So that alone looks great, and I'm really intrigued by that. We got the Rachnos type creature. Again, it just builds excitement, just showing us these little, things. So yeah, already it's delivering on a lot of levels. I think this, you got, like you mentioned in your podcast, that creature that comes around the corner chasing that woman. What's
the
that?
big scorpion thing.
Yeah, there's awesome. Lots of cool looking aliens and creatures in this. So again, I can feel the excitement coming through just by talking about those things. And this is what I think we need in Doctor Who. Personally, this is what I want from it, is stuff like that where I'm like, oh, what was that? What's that coming through the TARDIS door? It looked a little bit like a Reaper.
It did
to me, yes. But I don't think it is. But when I first saw that, I thought it was a Reaper. I was like, oh my God, the Reapers are back. He's getting in the TARDIS, but not sure it was. Not sure what that is. Yeah. So what else do we get in it?
We also got the some shots with the companions.
Yes.
So when I say that, I mean we've got some.
I still don't like that. I'm going to be honest. It's one that still grates on me. The fam.
What I mean is we've got a range of things just in that trailer with the companions. So there's a shot where Yaz is really upset about something. She's bawling her eyes out about something.
Yes.
And then in this trailer, she's screaming her head off at something. We've got the bit where Graham's obviously getting a bit, who are you, Doc, and stuff. And then there's another bit where he's like, we're right beside you, don't worry. So we've got hopefully some good stuff from those guys as well, because they absolutely weren't bad, the companions, especially Graham in Series 11. But it feels like, again, a bit like Jodie that we can see in these trailers. It looks like we're going to get a bit more from those guys and their performances as well, which is great. Yeah.
There's that thing coming through the wall as well, isn't there? The thing that sort of the wall starts to crack as he sort of touches it. And that creature looks. There's been sort of mumblings that could be a sea devil, but I don't know. I don't see sea devil in its shape. But that looks pretty cool as well, because there is also something bobbing out of the sea in one quick shot that which someone said could be a sea devil. I don't know.
Yeah,
I would love to see the sea devils come back if they're written well. They're one of my favourite Doctor Who monsters. I love the sea devils, but they better be wearing a vest. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
I don't want any of this redesign nonsense. A blue vest, or don't bother.
Or don't bother. Get out of town.
Yeah. Get out.
Yeah, I think overall, dude, the trailer does exactly what it's meant to do. It does what it says on the tin, and just the overall vibe as well. It's a really modern trailer. It's got a very funky, very modern sort of hip soundtrack and song. It really gets you sort of in the mood. And it almost makes you want to have it a bit like something like Stranger Things, where you just want all of Series 12 to land in your lap and you can just crash through it and stuff. It just, you just want to get through it because you know that there's some awesome stuff coming. So it does a great feel for that. And then, and I think overall, the thing I'm looking forward to the most, to be honest with you, is Jodie's performance. I think some of the little scenes that we've seen in both these trailers, we've seen her be funny, which we knew was coming anyway, because that's just the style of her Doctor, but just the way that she's delivered some of these lines in the newer trailers, like you said, a lot more intensity, a lot more just depth to her performance. Not everything is got sort of a smiley, grimacy, sort of upturned nosy look about her when she's delivering all of her lines. She feels like now she's a bit more in the zone, so to speak. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah. I was going to say, you were talking about because this is the air date has been confirmed as New Year's Day. Is that right?
Day. Yep.
But we don't know a time yet, I don't think. So New Year's Day, and then am I right in thinking it's also been confirmed that it'll be every Sunday after that? Is that confirmed?
That's not been confirmed, but
right.
I assume that will be the case. Yep.
Which is really good, because we were saying this before we kicked off, so that would be great. It's something to look forward to in the new year from the get-go. I can't wait now to review these in the new year. I'm really hoping it's going to be a much more positive experience than when we reviewed Series 11. So I'm really excited for this new year. But the downside of this is this will be over by the end of February. So we'll get Doctor Who back finally. And then from February, pretty much they'll all be done, because it's only 10 episodes. Then I'm worried, how long's the next gap? I don't want Doctor Who to turn into Sherlock, where they make a new series every 3 or 4 years, or just a special. So when is it going to be back after that? That's the only thing I worry about. It's great that we're going to get it, but we won't have it for long. And then how long have we got to wait for Series 13? They've only just finished wrapping on this series as well. So I just, that worries me slightly. We're not going to have another year gap, surely. But I get the feeling we are.
It'll be at least another year, won't it?
It will be, won't it?
Yeah, because I think this is the first time where they've kicked off the series. Like the used to get the Christmas special, but now it's the New Year's Day special. It's the first time that the special is actually the first part of the series, isn't it? Normally it's the special. You wait a little while and then you get the series proper. So this is the first time they're kicking off the new series as part of the special. So it'll be at least a year, unless this is now the trend. Like in New Year's Day 2021 is the new Series 13 as kicks off with the special and stuff. I don't know, but that's the only thing. If this series is going to be an absolute belter, that's great. But on the other hand, it means at least a year with no Who.
No Who.
So it's a good job that there's a certain podcast that goes out most weeks.
Indeed.
Along with a bunch of other very cool podcasts, I might add. So it's an interesting one.
That is true, because obviously the last episode we got was a special, the Resolution. Was that Christmas last year? New Year's Day last year, wasn't it? Oh my word! Man, it's gone so quick. But that's the only thing that slightly concerns me. I just when will we know when Series 13? It's like we're doing it all again. You build up all this hype train, and it's here, and it's all exciting, and then it's like, and then the momentum just drops again. One other thing I want to say, actually, before we move on, is just coming back to relating to our more positive thoughts on this. I've noticed a bit of a tone shift on social media since the trailers as well, in a positive way, because Doctor Who on social media for the last year has reached some all-time lows in lots of different ways, from people's opinion of the show to fandom falling out to just general nastiness to all sorts. And I have noticed since these trailers drops, there is a lot more positivity floating around. I mean, it'd be
that's true.
Be hard to have any less a couple of months ago, but you know what I mean. I've definitely noticed a lot more, because only a month ago, if you posted anything to do with Jodie or Series 11 or the new Doctor or Chibnall, it would just be a barrage of abuse and arguing, whichever side you were on. It was, fandom's been quite a difficult place to be of late. So again, I've definitely noticed, I'm not saying everyone's changed their opinion like myself, but there's definitely been a much more positive vibe floating around since trailer. So again, just to reaffirm what you said, it seems to have done what it needed to do thus far. We just need it to deliver now. We really just need this series to land and really deliver. Yeah, but that's good to see. It's good to see a bit more positivity towards the show. This is a show I love. I certainly don't want to be negative towards it, but I'll also never shy away from being honest about it because I love it, if you know what I mean. So, but I'm glad to be feeling positive.
No, I completely concur with you, mate. It hasn't felt as, like you said, as toxic and as crazy as we've had it over the last year, I suppose. So everything is looking good.
Thus far?
Yes, everything is coming together nicely, and with any luck, we're going to be in for an absolute belter of a series. I can't wait for New Year's Day.
I'm very much looking forward to it. Yeah. I even got a real buzz just from buying the Radio Times the other day because it had the 13th Doctor on it, and I don't think I would have been saying that even a month ago. I would have probably seen it on the shelf. I would have, of course, bought it, but probably wouldn't have even bothered reading it. Yeah. But since the trailers and, getting a bit more buzz around it, I picked that up literally a couple of days ago, and it's got a nice cover with the 13th Doctor and her fam. Oh, is there any? I really still don't like saying that, but what else can I call it? Her fam behind her, and they're all looking into a box, and it's very Christmassy. And I thought, I got a buzz from that as well. I was thinking, I'm really feeling this again. This is good stuff. So,
of course, we all, you and I knew that this was going to happen. We knew that there was potential there.
Yeah,
we knew that. We just needed that series to get out the way, and then we're on the good train.
Hopefully,
looking good so far. There you go. There's our thoughts on the new trailer for the new story that's going to air New Year's Day called Spyfall. So anyone that has a habit of going out and getting absolutely wrecked on New Year's Eve night, make sure you put this on to record for the following day, because you don't want to miss it by the look of it.
Definitely.
Right. Shall we rattle through a couple of merch items that we've got, bud?
Definitely, yeah. And if you send me giggling at any point while you've been talking, it's because one of the merch bits that's coming up is just making me laugh, because I have visions of you opening it on Christmas Day and your face. That's like, even in the opening music, you probably saw me laughing, thinking, what's he laughing at? Just because I think one of these is definitely for you, and I wonder if you can guess which one. Let's get into it.
Merch corner, merch corner, merch corner.
It's a bit rubbish, but it's pretty. It's very pretty.
Well, there you are, young man. What do you think of that now, eh? A Viking helmet.
I know, it's on the telly. It's everywhere.
I don't know whether to be impressed or disgusted.
I work in a shop now, here to help.
I think I've got an inkling. So yes, the first it was actually this is a double whammy, and the first piece of merch are cushions, Doctor Who cushions in the style of Mr. Men and Little Miss Doctor Who, and we have the 11th Doctor cushion, and we also have the 13th Doctor cushions, and these are available right now from Amazon. I imagine some other places will get them, but I've only seen them on Amazon at the moment. They are priced at £20, and they are out of stock at the moment, but they are showing on Amazon as coming into stock on the 13th of December, and you'll be able to pop your order in and get these in time for Crimbo, it looks like. And the design of them, I'm not sure if this is the one you mean.
It is, actually.
It is. I thought so, yeah.
I thought they were plushes, actually. I didn't realise it. So this is actually a big cushion. Okay. When I saw the picture, I thought it was a plush. And I know how much you love a plush.
Oh, I love a plush.
But no, it was just the thought of you opening this on Christmas Day. But I think one of these you'll probably like more than the other anyway.
Yeah, the 11th Doctor one does actually look quite cute.
I thought you'd like him. Yes.
Having said that, the 13th Doctor one, it doesn't look bad, but the problem is there isn't enough who-ness about the. So
it's a bit generic, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, so with the 11th Doctor one, you've got his bow tie and his fez, and the side part and everything, the big hair. So you can tell immediately that that's obviously the 11th Doctor. But with Jodie's one, she hasn't got the T-shirt on. The only thing she's got is the little earrings, the little studs, and her socks. But again, they're very generic. If they'd have put a little T-shirt on her with the stripes, that would have been amazing.
Would have been cool.
Yeah.
Yes. So, why didn't they do that?
Yeah. So she doesn't look bad, but at the same time, I don't think she's quite as good as the 11th Doctor one. Because,
no, I actually I think the 11th Doctor one's pretty cute. I'm liking him. I just agree with you about the Jodie one. I don't know. It just looks a bit. It's just. Is it yellow or orange? Yellow.
Yellow,
isn't it?
Yeah. Some people are saying it looks like the Boris Johnson. Plush.
Yeah. No, it's cool. I can tell a lot of people will love it. It's very cute. They're both very cute, actually. I wonder if they're going to do other Doctors though, because I don't know. There's something I am kind of liking these. I can imagine having them around the house, but I'm not sure. I would like perhaps some of the other Doctors. Imagine the big pink Colin one, the big pink 6th Doctor one. It'd be good. I don't think Colin was very pleased. I remember someone showing him his at a convention, and I don't remember he was very pleased with it. So he might not allow it, but but it would be cool to see. I think the 4th Doctor was really cool from memory. Yeah, I just don't know if we'll get more, because do you remember the little plastic figurines they started doing?
Yes,
they obviously didn't sell very well because they only did 4. I think they were going to do them all. But they ended up only doing a couple. I don't know if you ever did. You ever buy any?
Yeah, I got the 4th Doctor and the 1st.
Oh, Doctor. Same as me. Yeah.
I don't know what happened to those.
Because the 12th Doctor one, he looked like a sort of piece of cheese with arms and legs, didn't it? It was like a sort of. And then you had Jodie's one, and I think those were the only toys they did. Did they do Jodie? No, hang on.
No, they didn't.
No, who was the other one? They did 4.
They did.
Like you, only bought 2.
They did 1, 4.
12, which was the cheese.
The cheese one. And was it 10? Did they do a Tennant one?
I'm thinking it might have been 10.
Yeah.
Probably can't remember now, but they obviously didn't sell very well. But that's so I'm thinking, are they trying again let's try a different format and see if these sell, and if they do, we'll do the rest, because I think they'd be quite cute to have cushions of all the Doctors.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
No, not too bad. Yeah, but the in terms of sizing for these, they're not too bad. So they're 40 centimeters high. Where if you picture, I guess, a school ruler, which is 30 centimeters and add a bit on, it's that kind of high. 26 by another 40 wide. So a reasonable size. If they released all 13 of them, then you'd fill up your sofa pretty quick.
Yeah. Indeed. I'm not going to rush to buy these, but if Santa wants to deliver one, I'll take it.
That's a good gift. Don't get me wrong.
It's a nice gift actually.
Yeah. There you go. December 13th.
December 13th. Okay, moving on. These I absolutely love. Absolutely love these. So I love a badge. Everyone knows I love a badge. Just look at my handbag. It's full of them. So Hero Collector are releasing the Doctor Who pin badge collection, and these are ultra cute in a good way. They are I think so. I'm going to come to you in a minute, but I think these look brilliant. They're little badges of all the Doctors, and they're called chibi-style pins. Now, not to be confused with Chibnall-style pins, which I genuinely was what I read when I first saw this. I was like, Chibnall-style pins? But it's not. It's chibi-style pin badges.
Yes.
So hopefully listeners know what I mean by that, because I don't really know how to describe them. They look like little caricatures of the Doctor, and I feel like I've seen these somewhere before now, actually. In terms of the design, where have I seen these designs before? Well,
chibi is a style of Japanese anime. So when you say chibi style, it's in that kind of style. But
yes, they did a T-shirt of them, didn't they? I'm being stupid. Right. Hero Collector did a T-shirt with these on. I've just remembered. They were like all lined up in a row, all the Doctors, and they looked just like this, didn't they?
Yes.
I think they look great. I want them all. I want all
It's
14.
a Pokemon situation. Got to catch them all.
Yeah, so I say 14 because we get the War Doctor as well. I'm glad they haven't forgotten him. I'm just thinking through in case there's one. Normally we spot one that we think looks bad. 7 looks a bit sad.
Oh yeah. When you was going to ask me about these, I was
for?
going to let you know my thoughts on a couple of these. But
Like Dave said, well, let's get take me through your thoughts. Do you like these?
I do quite like them actually. Yeah, they're quite cute.
I think the first Doctor's brilliant.
Yeah, I was going to say a few standout ones for me is the first Doctor who's looking thoroughly grumpy and very much Hartnell, which is
Got
great.
his monocle in. Yeah.
Yep. The other one is the seventh Doctor, McCoy. I don't know why he's looking so sad.
It does look sad.
Yeah.
He looks a little bit like a South Park character, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
Oh, dear.
The 10th Doctor one looks hilarious. He's got this very frowny,
have a look at him,
grumpy look about him. I don't know what he's miffed about.
Wow.
Probably Rose is giving him
He
some
does
earache.
look very,
about
he
something.
does look angry. Yeah.
And and I like the little War Doctor dude as well, just looking very like he's contemplating something. And,
War Doctor looks brilliant. It's bizarre, isn't it? Because the 10th Doctor looks probably the angriest of them all.
Yeah.
He looks really, like you said, he looks like him and Rose have had a bit of a ding dong. You go underneath, you've got the 12th Doctor, who I would have thought would be one of the ones that looked a little grumpy.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a massive grin on his face.
He has actually, yeah, he's looking good.
I think they've put the wrong mouths on those two. I would have swapped them round, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I absolutely love these. I like the fact that the little card backing that they're on has got their each individual TARDIS room. So it's quite nice that they've just made that effort rather than just doing the generic TARDIS interior or whatever. They've put the right TARDIS interior for each Doctor behind them. I think that's lovely. Like the third Doctor, for example, he looks good. He's got the great big Randalls behind him.
Yeah.
And McCoy's got his lovely 80s TARDIS, and his, 8th Doctor's got his beautiful TARDIS. It's just a really nice little touch that they've got these they're drawings, by the way. They're not photos. So they've sort of drawn each little TARDIS interior behind them. Just really makes it look nice. I think these are lovely, mate.
Yeah.
Really, I really genuinely want all of these.
Yeah, they look good.
Yeah.
You can find some other photos. They've taken some actual product photos over on the Eagle Moss /Hero Collector website. I'll link to that in the show notes, and they are priced at $5.99 each.
Ooh.
But you cannot order them just yet. But you can put yourself on. There's a little join the waiting list email subscription on each one. So if you're going to buy all 13, that's going to set you back about £78.
Ooh.
If you want all 13 of them. So yes, a little bit pricey for all of these, but I don't know. I might pick out a few of these. The ones I mentioned.
I might buy a couple a month or something.
Yeah, a couple of months. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think they're wicked.
They are wicked. Yeah, but there's no date on them at the minute. But if you keep your eyes out, and we'll let you know anyway when they go up for order. But yes, Hero Collector, the little badges, they do look very cute. Quite like them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And lastly, if Sonics are your thing, you can order 6 of them. 6 of the bloody things.
6 of the things. How many times can they reissue these same Sonics? Even though I like them, but
I know.
Gosh. But at least they're all in one set this time rather than individual. But yeah,
instead of having to go knee deep in a load of crap through car boot sales and eBay and all that stuff.
Yeah,
you can pick all these brand new, shiny in their own box. So this collection is coming out. I think this is out now. Yes, they are out now. They are priced at $44.99. Now, this is interesting because as I'm looking at these now on Amazon, I think they're on a limited deal at the moment.
Yeah,
as part of not the Black Friday thing, but just a Prime deal. So when you're listening to this podcast, if you go on Amazon, they might have gone back up. So I think the original price of these is around £60.
Yeah, I think it was $69.99 actually, which is why I didn't buy them. Far too expensive.
So they're on sale at the moment at $44.99, but there's no timings on the Amazon page as to when that deal's going to finish. So they might be at that price still if you're listening to this on on a later time. But yeah, they're normally around 60 quid. But looking fairly good. If you've not picked up any of the Sonic screwdriver toys before, it's interesting. It's important to know that these aren't the prop replicas or anything like that. They are the toys, the plastic ones. But you do get 3, 4, 5, 7th/8th, 10th and 11th Doctor's screwdrivers. All come with all the sound and light effects from all the original individual releases for these. And who are these from? These from Character.
Yeah.
And they've kind of signed it off by saying it's perfect for all Doctor Who fans and collectors. So replace the word perfect with whatever word you feel appropriate there. And comes in a nice box, and there's not much more to say really. It's all the individual toy Sonics that they've done over the years. They've just boxed them all up in one thing. So yeah,
don't get me wrong, it's a lovely set. I mean, if it had come out a couple of years, I mean, I think it's nice. I would gladly have it. I think it's just because these Sonics have been reissued so many times over the years. I've just no need for it at all, if you know what I mean. I've got at least 2 or 3 versions of probably each of these Sonics that they've done. But yeah, if you haven't got them, it's a lovely set. The only thing I would have changed is because like the 4th, 5th, and possibly even the 3rd to an extent are the same mold, I probably would have put the War Doctor Sonic in there instead of one of those. Do you know what I mean? Just to mix it up a bit, because like the first 3 Sonics are practically the same, but with different paint apps. Mm-hmm. I would have mixed. Yeah, I would have put the War Sonic in there, which I suppose is still similar, but at least it's got a different end, right? So
exactly,
But yeah, just mix it up a bit, Character. But if you haven't got the Sonics, or you just want them all together in one box, I do think it's a lovely set. I will say that. But yeah, I won't be getting it because I've got hundreds of Sonics everywhere.
Yeah.
So
exactly,
I stupidly buy them. I've bought them over the years every time they reissue them with a slight change. But yeah, nice set.
Isn't it? If you've not got any of the Sonics yet,
you haven't got it. It's a nice set.
Then this is a great set to get you started. And maybe we'll see another couple of sets of these where they've packaged like another bunch of different Sonics together and.
Quite possibly, yeah, maybe. With Jodie's one or whatever. I mean, price-wise as well, I think 70 quid, 69.99, it is too much. I think, this should be around the £40 mark at the most.
Just the normal price.
To be honest,
around
10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Just adding up how much each Sonic that is. But yeah, I wouldn't pay 70 quid for it.
Well,
get it while the deal's on.
Get it while it's on. If it's still on, that'd be good.
Yeah.
So that's merch. Hopefully there's a few things there that if you are trying to buy for your significant other who is a Who fan, there's a couple of bits there that are quite cute.
I tell you, if someone gave me that for Christmas, I'd be absolutely delighted.
Oh, of course.
That's not him, by the way. Yeah. I'm just saying that if for a present, it would be, really nice. Yeah.
Yes. There we go. I'm sure we'll have a load more stocking fillers or whatever in the next few weeks. But
exactly. Some TARDIS socks, surely.
Oh, there has to be, yeah. Some TARDIS knickers, whatever. Right, that's merch. News and merch done. On to review what we got this week.
Right, so so this week back to Sarah Jane Adventures. Hurrah! And this one, quite a creepy one this week. It's called The Eternity Trap.
Ashen Hill Manor is reputedly one of the most haunted locations in the UK.
Ghosts do not exist.
EMF readings throughout the house are spiking. Something's happening.
Look! We have to get out of here.
Where did she go?
Get into the netherworld!
Ooh. So, The Eternity Trap. That's a good trailer.
It's a good trailer, yeah.
The Eternity Trap, it was broadcast on the 5th and 6th of November 2009. So 10 years ago, just over.
Wow.
Yes, it was written by Phil Ford and directed by Alice Troughton. It's got the slightly smaller team this time round of Sarah Jane, Clyde and Rani, so no Luke or K9 or Mr. Smith. or any other characters actually.
No, Mr. Smith.
Yeah, no Rani's parents in this one. No one knocking around. And then a fairly small supporting cast. And the story is roughly, it's all set in this big supposedly haunted house where people have gone missing over the years. Professor Rivers has invited Sarah Jane along because she's doing an experiment to find out exactly what's going on in the house. And she's invited Sarah Jane to cover it as a journalist, I suppose. But that soon turns on its head when she gets taken by the very mysterious Erasmus Darkening. The story kind of gets set up with back in hundreds of years ago when the lord of the house, Lord Marchwood, has invited this guy in as a kind of a sorcerer, magician guy, because he's claimed that he can turn, I think it's lead into gold. But he's taken it upon himself to actually build a contraption. It turns out that he's an alien and wants to try and get home. So he's building this kind of interdimensional thing that's going to transport him home. But when Lord Marchwood attacks him, kind of goes wrong. It damages the device and then turns it into a kind of a holding cell between dimensions. That's how people are getting taken, and they're being held sort of between galaxies, I suppose. And they manifest themselves throughout the house. And in modern day, people take that as ghosts because they see people there and disappearing and so on. And it kind of reaches a climax with Sarah Jane and the other guys kind of putting a stop to his evil doings and destroying the machine. And I think the people who were trapped then are allowed to sort of go back to their own respective times and people, families and whatnot. So
that's what I assumed, yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, very creepy two-part of this one. What are your thoughts on it, bud?
I thought it was another good story. I'm starting to think, can this series do no wrong? And I hope, I'm going to say, if we get to the end of the Sarah Jane Adventures, we haven't had a bad story yet. We haven't had any story yet that we don't enjoy. And I don't want to jinx it by saying that, but I got to the end of this, and it's not one of my favourites that we've had so far, but it's just another quality, fun story that I really enjoyed. It's a bit like Series 9, in that there are even the stories like that I don't think are as strong as some of the others. I could quite happily watch any of Series 9 of Doctor Who. Sarah Jane reminds me of that. I could happily dip into any previous episode from the 3. Are we on Series 3 now?
Yes.
Yes. I could happily dip into any episode we've watched so far and put it on. There isn't one that I think, oh, no, skip that one. There's no Sleep No More in here so far. I just thought it was another great story. I was surprised how adult it was. It's very creepy. There's a bit where Donald Sumter appears behind them at the end, which literally was like, whoa, what the hell? It's very, very creepy in places. Very sort of adult. Production wise, just brilliant. I mean, it could be, it could easily be Doctor Who. It could be a Doctor Who episode. Its production values are good. So it's not a favourite. It doesn't quite reach the heights of some of the real gems I think we've had from the Sarah Jane Adventures, but it's another good story, I thought. I think Phil Ford is generally quite a good writer as well. Mm-hmm. And the whole ghost thing, I don't know about you, but for me, ghost stories, and particularly ones like this, they can become very cliched. And it's hard to make a ghost story fresh, I think, sometimes, because you end up doing the same things that's in every other ghost story. The lights flicker, you see someone in the mirror, something moves behind them, and it can become very boring because it's all about little jump scares, but you ultimately know nothing's going to happen. So I think with taking that in mind, I think Phil Ford does a very good job of keeping the suspense and the story going, because all those things are in there that we've seen 100 times before, like the toys coming alive and clapping. We've seen all that before, but because there's a bit more to the story, and I particularly love the scene with all the people appearing on the stairs. I don't know why I found that really creepy and just all that. So I think credit to Phil Ford for sort of taking a sort of pretty by numbers sort of ghost story, but actually managing to do something different with it. So yeah, I thought it was good. I enjoyed this one. Enjoyed it. What about you?
Yes. Really,
Yes.
just yes. Yeah, I really like this one.
Yeah.
And I think it's a lot scarier than its targeted age audience, because I tell you what, I was crapping myself when I watched this last night.
I saw your tweet and I thought, what's he on about? Sarah Jane, it can't be that bad. And because I hadn't watched it at that point, I was literally about to put it on. So yeah, I'd agree with you on that. I was like, this is quite adult.
Yeah, because
not adult, but quite scary.
It was very scary. And normally, I just don't do scared in terms of films and stuff. Horror films don't really have an effect on me too much, and they don't really bother me. But for some reason, this was really well done. It had a very creepy vibe about it, especially the first one.
Yeah,
it really had a creepy, because I understood the setup of the story, which is really good. I really liked that kind of 3 or 4 minutes where they explained what was going on with Lord Marchwood and how darkening, took the kids away and all that stuff. So you kind of bury that in your mind, I suppose, because when Sarah Jane and everybody turn up at the house, they start with these little things that, like you said, that they can be viewed as kind of parlor tricks, I suppose. Though we have the typical over the years where we've seen haunted house stories, but you just don't expect that. You don't expect them to be there in a Sarah Jane adventure story. So the bit when they walk into the house right at the beginning, and they just having a little wander in the big sort of entrance hall, and then when they walk off, you see the doors start to close by themselves straight away, and you think, crikey, they're not hanging around. But then it's a real slow burn, because it doesn't just hit you immediately. Like, you don't see darkening for ages. Rani sees him in the mirror, and Toby sees him in the monitor briefly, and so on. And it's just, it kind of goes back to the old school sort of filmmaking techniques, I suppose, where none of it is CG. It's all done practically. And there's this scene where Professor Rivers goes into the nursery because one of the cameras has broken. And while she's in there, the little thing, what's it called, over the children's cot starts moving by itself.
Yeah.
And then you think, okay, this is expected. You knew something was going to start moving. But then everything else, and then when she gets taken and when they all go in the room, everything starts building. The rocking horse starts moving by itself. See, and that's the thing, that there's things that we've seen a billion times in haunted house films and TV programs, but I think it was the reactions from the cast that made it what it was, because I think they could have overstepped the mark with this. And there were times where you thought, is Clyde going to ruin this with his humor and his one-liners? Is he going to just make it seem, is it going to lose its impact, some of these creepy moments, because he's just diminished it with just a funny one-liner? And he did have those, but you could tell that he was crapping his pants while he was saying them, so they didn't have the same sort of snarky kind of effect that they normally do. So I think it was their reactions that made all of those very expected and much seen effects just seem very real, because none of it was, there's hardly any CG in it. And just that goes back to the old days of when practical effects, when you did them right, they did actually work. So, and on top of that, I just found it a fairly decent story as well. It was, I like the fact that the darkening character was very, just a very intriguing bad guy, a bad villain. Very creepy. Donald Sumter did a very good job of doing the very typical evil cackle at times, and the way he said some of his lines and stuff was very good. And I don't get it wrong, like you, it's not up there with like a 10 out of 10 like some of the other stories that we've seen thus far, but I feel it's not far off that for me. It's a very, very good story. And I like the fact that it was scary as well. I think sometimes you need to have stories like that within the world of Doctor Who, whether it's the main show or this. I think sometimes you need just that story every now and then that's just gonna just make you wet yourself a little bit and just remind you that there are scary things in Doctor Who. It's not all running around making friends with Jadoon and all that stuff. You know, sometimes there are things that are scary and, you know, potentially, you know, very dangerous.
Dark.
Yeah. So
I must admit, I was surprised how much it kept my interest, because, you know, there is a lot of sort of creeping around and, you know, not much happening, but there's all these little other elements that just kept my interest throughout the story. You know, what was going on between Darkening and Marchwood? Like, what's that all about? Like, why are these guys like fighting, popping up and having a bit of a ruckus and then disappearing and stuff like that? And it does feel quite different to what we've had so far in terms of Sarah Jane. So although, as I said, it's sort of got a few cliches of ghost stories that we've seen loads before, for a Sarah Jane story, it did feel like different to everything else, because we've had sort of Slovene and we've had Jadoon and stuff, and Jadoon driving police cars. We've had a lot more light-hearted stories. This did feel like it was taking a bit of a tone shift, and that was quite welcome, really, because it made it fresh, you know, it made it different. That's probably why it held my attention, I think, because I was like, yeah, this is, you know, something a bit darker for Sarah Jane, and it's very creepy in places. It would be fantastic watch on like Halloween, because I would look to see when this was shown. It was shown in November.
Yeah. Just after Halloween, not too.
Just after, yeah, so not too far, but yeah, it would be a cracking watch for Halloween, because it, for sort of a family audience, it balances that fine line between being scary and would appeal to adults, but also not too much. You know, it's not, your kids could watch this. They might be a bit scared in places, but I think because you've got the lead character of Sarah Jane, who quite frankly is taking no nonsense throughout the whole story, which is what we love about her, because she's right in the midst of this and you know she's going to sort it out. There's that sort of safety barrier as well. So even bits when, you know, old Darkenings are popping up and being sinister, brilliantly played by Donald Sumter, you sort of, there's that safety net of Sarah Jane there as well. So yeah, but it's good. It's good that it just pushes the envelope just a little bit. And yeah, as I said, would be fantastic watch late at night with all the lights off and on Halloween or something. It'd be brilliant.
It would be, yeah. There's a few stories you could pop on at Halloween. I get the feeling that when they were doing the 11th Doctor story, Hyde,
yeah,
that they took some inspiration from this, because
it reminded me a bit of that.
Yeah, because the big house that's set in is very similar. I'm surprised they didn't use the same location actually, but it's a very similar house, very similar vibe. Where because in the story Hyde, there's a guy there who's doing an experiment on the paranormal, and the Doctor, and, you know, so Sarah Jane's just influencing some of these other stories, and it's you can tell that Hyde is definitely influenced by this story.
I definitely got that. Similar. I definitely got the same sort of vibe from it. I think, yeah, like you said, the investigation, the creepy house, it did have similarities for sure. I'll tell you what else looked familiar. Talking of shared locations, that's Mrs. Garden, isn't it? That there with the water fountain. You know, in Dark Water. I think. Oh no, is it Dark Water? Well, there's an episode where she's like dancing around the garden and around a fountain or something when she's in the Heaven Spear or whatever it's called. That's definitely that. It's a lot sunnier in her episode from what I remember. I'm sure that's the same fountain and location, and
it might be. Yeah, it looks the same.
As soon as I saw it, I was thinking I'm sure it is. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, listeners, but definitely looked like Mrs. Garden from when we kept getting those funny little flashbacks.
Yes, yeah.
Of her
in the Capaldi.
I think it's in another episode as well. Might be a Torchwood episode. I can't remember now.
Right.
I'm sure that fountain pops up in a few places, but yeah, it made me think of Missy straight away. That garden.
No, absolutely. And the house itself actually was used. It was the house that they used in Forest of the Dead.
Oh right,
yeah,
Forest of the Dead.
Yeah, man.
Oh, what the when Donna's is that the bit with Donna? Oh, yeah, right, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a great old house though. Really cool.
Yeah, it does look nice. Yeah.
Yes, and all on location. Most of it, you can tell.
I wondered, did they mix a couple of locations? You know, when they're going, there's a bit where they're going into sort of his sort of secret underground tunnel or whatever it is. That I was thinking, oh, well, that looks more like one of those Cardiff Castle rooms than a mansion, but it could all be in one place. I don't know. It just did occur to me they might have mixed a few locations at one point.
Yeah, there was a bit where they were going through, when they go through the bookcase and they're going through this tunnel.
Yeah,
that looked like it could be from Cardiff Castle or something.
That's what I thought. Or the other one, the one that you went to that I've not been to, Carphilly. Yeah. I don't know, it might not be, but it just, I did wonder if they'd mixed a few.
Yeah, and then I think the bit when they go into his chamber, if you like, I think that might have been a set. I think.
Just Googled, sorry, I was just Googling, that fountain was really annoying me. I know the other episode it's in is the one where Amy, what's it called? Amy's Choice, is it?
Amy's Choice with the old feet. Oh, yeah.
Where it's, you know, when is that the one with the robot that gives the kindness and it all gets a bit
that's
surreal?
Not Amy's Choice. No, that's
what is that called?
Smile.
No, not Smile. It's Amy. I think there's a bit where she walks into it. Anyway, sorry to go on about the fountain. I just knew I'd seen it in other places, but there is definitely a bit where Missy's dancing around it as well. And yeah, so that's a location I need to visit now.
There's another one. Yeah.
I love going to locations. Oh, what's that called? The one where Amy and Rory, Amy gets really old and it's all in a bright white room and Rory has to let her die and she starts samuraiing swords and she goes crackers at the end.
That's not Amy's Choice. That is
you know, this is the point. There's always a point in the podcast where the listeners are screaming at us, and this is one of them. They're shouting the title as we speak.
Yes, they are. Everyone now is like, it's this one.
Yeah. They know what I mean.
Yes. Is that the one where it's got a really, really good opening? Like Rory's talking to somebody, there's a massive explosion on a spaceship behind him.
Yes, I think so. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, crikey. What is that one?
Yeah, it's got a weird sort of almost Alice in Wonderland type garden at one point as well, wasn't it?
Exactly that. Yes. It's oh, dude.
Oh, I'll Google it. What you carry on, I'll Google it. It's Series 7, isn't it?
I think so.
Or 6.
Oh God. Yeah. Is it so hold on. Let's be detectives. So it's the bit where the woman with the eye patch. Is that right?
No,
it's not that one.
No, not that one.
It's the bit
Girly
where
Waited, isn't it? Girly Waited.
It's the bit where Amy gets left behind.
Yeah,
and when we see her halfway through, she's got like white armor on. She's got a sword and stuff.
Yeah, she turns into like a samurai.
That's right.
Girl at the end and starts chopping all the robots up, and quite a good one from what I remember.
Yeah, and then when they do get back, it's the bit with the big magnifying glass thing that enables them to see through.
It.
Come on, dude, what's the name of the thing?
I've just said it. The Girly Waited.
Oh, it's the Girly Waited.
Yeah, the Girly Waited.
Right. That's a pretty good story.
It is a good one. I know, it's weird, isn't it? It's funny how something like that can suddenly make you think, oh, I feel like watching that now. Series 6 as well. Don't often go back to that one.
Crikey Moses. Well, I thought it was the one with... No, that's not the one with Rory. That's the one with... The one I was thinking about was the one where the hoodless... The monks with no heads and all that stuff. And
oh, no.
Oh, crikey. No, yeah. No. Anyway. Carrying on. Now that we've got that sorted.
Yeah.
Yes. And what did you think about having a reduced attic crew in this one?
I actually think it works quite well because I think Luke he's just stayed at home because he doesn't believe in ghosts or something, isn't it? He's just sort of written out like that. Yeah. But I think really because he was the actor was doing his exams or something, wasn't he? Whatever his name is, who plays Luke. Yep. But I thought it worked well because it's nice to give Clyde and Rani a chance to sort of get a bit more, because sometimes with the three of them it's hard to find stuff for them all to do. Like normally one of them will get sidetracked a bit, and it's normally Rani, I think. So it's good to get Luke just sort of left at home for a change. I think Rani and Clyde work pretty well together, to be honest. I think the two characters, with Clyde's humour, and the Rani's a good, strong character. Like, Clyde's the one who's sort of all scared but pretending he's the big I am, but we know that he's terrified. Whereas the Rani, she's quite up for getting stuck in and come on, stop being such a wet lettuce. And so I think as a dynamic, those two work quite well together. That's another reason I think I wasn't sort of losing interest in the story, was because even though there's quite a lot of scenes when they're just creeping around and there's, it's not much happening, those two are quite watchable on screen. So yes, I think as much as I like Luke as a character, I think this one was benefited really from not having him in it, because it just gave those two a chance to do their thing. And obviously Sarah Jane's off doing hers. So, yeah, I think those two are good together.
I think so. I think it was a nice change as well.
Yeah.
Because it removed you from... Because the formula for each Sarah Jane story is good. It does... There's definitely a formula to it, but it's nice every now and then to pull you out of that and give you something new. So it's the first time also that Sarah Jane's house, 13 Bannerman, doesn't appear in any story as well, because her house is in every single story. And you're in there with the attic and Mr. Smith and everything like that. So it's nice to pull you out of that every now and then. And just
I was just wondering what they were doing. Like, did they get back from this? Oh, we've had a heck of a day, and then Luke's had a party, and Mr. Smith's sort of drunk, and K9's got his little party hat on. What's been going on? The kitchen's been burnt down. Well, leave you alone for half an hour, Luke. Wreck the place.
Yeah, Rani's parents are just wasted. They're sort of downstairs asleep.
Yeah. Actually, it was good to get a break from them as well, because I've really started to like them as the sort of humour element to the show. I think I found them a bit over the top to begin with, but I'm starting to like them as characters. But it was nice to get a break from that, because they sometimes can sort of take away the edge in terms of the humour, like you said about Clyde. So I think if you'd have had them in this, that humor would have been there, and would have taken away the creepiness a bit. And that's what I liked about it. But because it was so creepy, it did feel a bit different to the other episodes we've got. So having that smaller cast just gives a different feel to it. Otherwise, it is kind of the same thing every week, I think. So
exactly that. Yeah. And it was nice to have, because there are moments when Sarah Jane goes off on her own, and it's Clyde and Rani doing their thing. I think if you threw Luke into the mix as well,
what could he have done? It would have just been,
exactly. I think it would have been just a smidge too busy a script for having Luke in there as well. So I mean, they probably would have worked it somehow, but it does work. I think this every now and then when you pull someone out, it does work, I think. And
he probably would have been snatched away or something. That's what would have happened if he'd have been in it. I reckon he would have been snatched away like the Professor Rivers. You know what I mean? She'd have been trying to get him back. Luke, I can imagine that sort of going on.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
He'd have been, I don't believe in ghosts, me. Oh my God, I've been sucked into the mirror. And then the rest of the episode would have been trying to get him back, probably. I'm surprised they didn't do that to an extent, actually.
Well, that would have taken away.
They kind of did with Professor Rivers, I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, because we had that so Sarah Jane said that and this was this is the only kind of thing that I found a little bit of a cop-out, was all of the other people that supposedly had gone missing in the house, which turns out they were trapped in this interdimensional thing.
Yeah.
We don't see that explicitly, but it's kind of made to make us think like Darkness had, chosen these people and they were gone. Whereas they kind of fudged it a little bit with Rivers by saying, well, she hasn't been fully absorbed yet.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
She's kind of around a little bit, suppose. So they kind of added that extra layer of, you're kind of been snatched, but not fully yet. There's still a window that we can save you, and obviously they were always going to save her. So they probably would have done something like that with Luke, whereas Sarah Jane and then those guys had to do the whole rescue mission thing, and while that was all going on, Luke is having a standoff with Darkness and all that stuff. So, but I think that would have taken away also the quite touching story that we have with Lord Marchwood and his kids being taken and his continual search for those guys and stuff, because that was quite nice. And
Yeah.
quite well done. So it would have detracted away from the actual heart of the story, which was his kind of misjudgment, really. I think that's the crux of it. He brought this guy into his house due to his own greed, I suppose.
Yeah.
And ended up, losing his family over that. So I think that needs to hold true, like the core of the story. So, yeah.
Plus, we've also had, the other thing is, if it had been Luke been snatched or whatever, we have had that a few times, haven't we? Where Luke's taken hostage and Sarah Jane has to save. So it's good, not to repeat too much with that sort of scenario, I think.
Yes. Yeah. What did you think to the two scientists, I suppose, that were on site? So we had Professor Rivers, who we've seen before.
Floella Benjamin.
Yeah, and then Toby Silverman, who's played by Adam Gillen. What did you think to those guys? Because they were coming at it from the other side of the coin. It transpires that Toby's character apparently saw a ghost when he was young, and he kind of pleaded with his dad to like sleep in another room and stuff like that. And his dad was a bit of an a-hole apparently, and kind of forced him to do it. So he's on his own personal journey to prove, the existence of ghosts and stuff. So he can basically go to his dad and say, "See, I told you when I was young, I was haunted by a real ghost, and you didn't believe me." And so you had that, and then you've got the Attic crew on their a slightly different journey. What did you think to those guys?
I thought they were good, but I don't think they were as good as they could have been. I mean, I love Floella Benjamin because she's part of my childhood. So, bless her, she's not the best actress. I mean, she's perfectly good in it, and she does kind of what's on the page. But I don't really have any complaints about her. Just whenever she comes on, she's a little bit. It's like, I don't know. You can sort of feel her acting rather than her performance, if you know what I mean. But I do love Floella Benjamin, so I totally overlook that. I just like having her in it, full stop, if that makes sense. But I just don't think she's the best of actresses. But yeah, she's fine in it. I was a little disappointed in Adam Gillen as Toby, though, because straight away I didn't know he was in it. So as soon as I see him, I'm like, oh, it's the guy from Benidorm. And he's quite funny in Benidorm. But he's kind of playing the same character, but just not as well. So he's sort of a bit wet behind the ears, and he's a little bit of a wimp, but he sort of also wants to get stuck in there and find out what's going on. But I don't know, his performance just seemed a little bit restrained. I kept thinking, he should have let go a bit and enjoyed it a bit more. And he didn't stand out as much as I think he could have in terms of his performance, because I do think Adam Gillen's, having seen him in other things, he does play that sort of kind of geeky, awkward character quite well.
Yeah, very well.
I mean, maybe this was an early role for him. I don't know if this is, because I guess the stuff I've seen of him would have been filmed after this, so maybe he sort of tweaked, his art, if you like, as an actor. But I don't know. When I saw he was in him, I was like, oh, cool, it's the guy from Benidorm. But he just didn't sort of stand out as much as I was expecting. He was perfectly okay, but he could have been really good. He could have been a really good little side character, I think.
Yeah, I read you.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I just kept thinking that a bit like that thing of there's real potential there for him to sort of be a real great character in this story, but he's kind of just in the background being a bit wimpy and.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think there were a couple of times when he did have that going on, where he had the geeky scientist thing going on, and he just and his voice is very high pitched, and he's stuff like that. But I don't know. I thought he was quite good for what the role needed. But I think he could have. I think he was. It felt like he was at 80% all the time with things.
He's a bit forgettable, and I think as an actor, I think he could have been one of those characters. You think, oh, he was really good in that story as a side character. He was funny, wasn't he? He just didn't bring a lot to it. But I felt like he sort of was almost there. Like you just said, sort of 80%. He had the sort of character on the paper, and he's got his thing that he does as an actor. He always does a sort of geeky kind of awkwardness, but he just didn't sort of bring it as much as I think he could have done.
No, I agree. Yeah.
But he was fine. He was still good. Didn't stand out particularly.
Yes.
Like, quite forgettable.
Yeah, no, I read you. Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think to Lord Marchwood then, played by Callum Blue? He was a very traditional, old English kind of swashbuckler.
Yeah, I actually thought he was all right, because that's the kind of role that sometimes people will take and they'll think, oh, this is a kid's show and I'm Lord Marchwood. You know, they can really sort of start chewing the scenery in that sort of part. And I thought he got a good balance of being, quite serious, but also sort of fun with it. So I thought he was quite good, personally. Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought he was quite good. I know him from the series Smallville.
Was he in that?
You know, the Superman origin TV series that was on a few years ago. He played Zod in that series, he was quite good as that.
Oh, well, I've just seen a picture of him without all the wig and stuff on it. He looks quite different.
Yeah.
I used to watch Smallville on and off. I don't remember him, but it was so long ago.
Yeah.
Wow, he's nearly my age as well. He looks younger. Oh well. Yeah. I thought he was okay. I thought he was quite good in the role, actually. Maybe just a little underused. I think we could have had a bit more going on between him and Darkness. And when they popped up and started having their little arguments, I was thinking, here we go. But,
here we go.
But it didn't. Yeah, I think perhaps he could have been used a little bit more, but he was good. I thought he was all right.
Yeah. There was just I think, the same thing as you, where given the time period and his character, there is a danger that you could go a bit sort of over the top with things.
Theatrical type, yeah.
Back, foul knave, and all that stuff.
Exactly.
Who was the guy that was in the character from The Visitation? What was his name?
Oh, yeah.
Plague.
The Plague, dear boy.
What was that guy's name? There's a danger that you could go down that road.
Yeah.
And for that story, The Visitation, perfect. Loved his character. But I think if you were to plonk that kind of performance in this story, it would have been a little... was it Richard Mace?
Richard Mace, yeah.
Was it?
Yeah. Richard Mace.
Yeah, so for that story, it was great. But I think if you were to go down that road in this story, it would have been like, what the frick's this guy doing?
Yeah, it's like I've watched Michael Robbins in The Visitation. I know exactly how to play this.
Exactly, yeah. So I think he did a good job. He came across as very continuously worried, and completely recognizes his own fault, realizes that he's brought this all upon himself, his family, all of his own doing, and he's living between worlds as constant regret and stuff, and this constant search for his kids and stuff that comes across. So I think that he did a decent job there.
He definitely was taking it seriously, and I think I'd speak for everyone in this, actually, whether their performance was as good as the next person, but everybody in it, I think this is what makes it a good episode as well. It seems to be really taking it seriously. There's nobody in this that's sort of like, phoning up, I'm doing a children's program tomorrow called Sarah Jane, I better get to bed. You don't feel like anyone's just turning up because it's a job and it's a kids show, and you do get the feeling that everyone in it is into what they're doing and giving a good performance. And I definitely would put him in that category.
Yes, absolutely. And just very quickly on those guys, I won't talk about the children too much. They had very small parts, but what did you think to the ending of this story about these guys then? Because the whole...
What, they're in the window?
Yeah, so the whole... I wouldn't say the crux of the story is about whether they or us believe in ghosts or not. But that was a big part of it. And Sarah Jane was adamant right from the off that ghosts don't exist, because based on her experience and everything that she's seen and everything, she says that everything that you ever see always comes back to some kind of scientific explanation. And Clyde and Rani say a couple of times that, this is not ghost, this has to be alien. There's no such thing as ghosts. And then right at the end of the story, when they're leaving and they're going to the car, when they say, right, that must be it then. So now that we've solved the thing, it's all a bit like a kind of Scooby-Doo ending. It's like, now that the ghost has been stopped, the creatures have done and everything, Clyde basically says, there's going to be no more hauntings now. And then Sarah Jane, she, a bit kind of sarcastically, she's like, there's no such thing as ghosts. And she looks up at the window, but she can see Marchwood and the two kids there in the window. So how do you take that then? Do you take that as a kind of a little sort of the writer giving a handout to the audience saying, well, this is now for you to decide. Is this a ghost we're seeing up in the window that Sarah Jane's wrong? Ghosts do exist. Or does that in itself has a more scientific explanation? Are they just kind of left over temporarily while the dimensions realign and all that stuff? So where do you sit on that one then?
See, I think, it's totally left to your own interpretation. I think it's, you could excuse it either way. I think as Sarah Jane would, you could say, see, ghosts do exist. They're in the bloody window up there. Or you could say, oh, there they are. Oh, no, they just haven't gone back to their time scoop yet. Oh, now they have.
Right.
So but I like that because you could have it, you can read into it whatever you want. Mm-hmm. You know, if you want to believe in ghosts, you can say, no, they're definitely ghosts. Or you could find the sort of scientific answer to it. So I like that. Mm-hmm. We don't need the answer. It's up to you. I kind of like it when writers do that as well. It's, could be either.
Yeah. No, I liked it.
Yeah.
Okay. Erasmus Darkling and Donald Sumpter.
Really good casting, actually. Once again, I didn't know that Donald Sumpter was even in Sarah Jane. So when he pops up straight away, I'm like, oh, it's the president.
It's Rassilon.
Yes, here he is. I mean, he's a good actor anyway. And he really sort of, when he gets a role like this, he really gets his teeth into it, doesn't he? So, very good casting. He manages to balance the evil villain portrayal well without going too pantomime. Like you say, there's quite a bit of cackling and stuff. There's the way he delivers his lines is good. Like it's creepy as heck. Like when he's talking to Sarah Jane, I think it's episode 2, isn't it? He's like, Sarah Jane. It's almost like just teasing her and taunting her in the way he delivers the lines, and that's a nice performance. So I thought he was great. Very creepy.
Yeah,
really suited the role. Loved the bit when he appeared out of nowhere behind them at the end of episode 1. That freaked the heck out of me, because he's just got that look as well, isn't he? It's his whole demeanor and the costume they've given him or outfit that he's wearing. It just all works brilliantly. So very good performance. Would have quite happily seen a bit more of his evil. How do you say that? Erasmus Darkening.
Yeah,
Erasmus Darkening. Yeah, good. Yeah, good character.
Yeah, and it's another example of the Sarah Jane Adventures coming up with a cracking character.
Yeah, good villain.
Yeah, and the casting's bang on as well, and the way that, again, this goes back to these kind of old-fashioned filmmaking techniques where you keep part of the subject in shadow. And you sort of desaturate. It looks very, cold and stuff. They've got all that bang on. And like you said, the bit where he's in shadow a lot of the time and he just appears and stuff, and really, really good. So there was a theory, when I was reading up on this last night, there was a theory that Darkening was a Time Lord.
Well,
or is a Time Lord.
He's got a sort of look about him, isn't he, with the headgear and all that.
Yeah, so there's been some remarks that fans have made over the years where Sarah Jane comments that the manipulator device that he's built, she says it has TARDIS-like qualities.
Yeah.
Clyde makes a reference that a lot of aliens do look human, and he says, the Doctor is an example of that. That's after we find out that Erasmus isn't human. He seems obsessed with sort of immortality, as if he was on his last regeneration. His clothing looks very Time Lord-esque.
It does, yeah.
And the only sort of counter-argument is that people have said, well, the Doctor has indicated a few times that, and this is quite loose and wishy-washy, that he would know, quote unquote, if there were any other Time Lords alive in the universe. But then the other argument to that is, well, he was trapped between dimensions, so that would have hidden him from any of the Doctors. And the other bit that supports that is Gallifrey itself was trapped in a pocket dimension and was not actually destroyed. So the fact that he is a renegade Time Lord or an escapee Time Lord is another thing. And then obviously the very tenuous link that Donald Sumpter went on to play Rassilon in Hellbent is here nor there. But yeah, there are some, you know, people have sort of alluded to that in the past. Like, you know, is this a Time Lord character? I mean, it's obviously for the sake of canon and being proper, I suppose he's not. But it's an interesting theory.
Yeah, I actually really like that theory. That works for me really well, actually. I don't know if he does, but I'd love to see this character come back. In terms of, because obviously we haven't seen the rest of the Sarah Jane adventures, so some of the listeners may know whether he does or not, but I don't think he does, but I'd be quite happy to see this character pop up again in another story. Oh, I've just ruined it. I've looked on Wiki. He doesn't.
He doesn't. I've immediately spoiled it for myself.
That's immediately ruined it. But yeah, well, that's a shame because I think he was a character that had more to give.
Yes,
he was a good villain. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say he's kind of got his ass kicked at the end there.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, well, yeah, good character though.
Yes.
And brilliantly played. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. We've spoken about Clyde and Rani and Liz Sladen then doing the business as always.
Yeah, absolutely doing the business and superb in this once again.
Yes.
Just love how she just takes control of any situation. She's always straight in there. Yeah, fantastic performance from her.
Yes.
As usual. I don't think we'll ever say any different. I'll be very surprised if we ever find an episode where we're like, no, Liz wasn't really very good this week. You know, it's just not going to happen.
I don't think so.
She's so watchable. Brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant. And I think that's kind of it for cast and stuff. We've gone through the story and whatnot.
I mean, I just want to say I thought the production was very good because, like you said earlier, it's only 10 years old. It was beautifully shot, very nicely directed by, is it Alice Troughton?
Yes.
Or something. Is it Alice?
Yeah. Alice
Troughton, yeah. Very nicely directed by Alice Troughton. A nice script from Phil Ford. But just production-wise, it stood up incredibly well, I thought. They really make the most of the locations and the effects. So you said it earlier, most of them are practical. But there is like the odd bit. I mean, the bit when Darkening gets his comeuppance and there's that swirly CGI effect, I thought it looked great.
Yeah, it did.
You know, for 10 years ago, those sort of graphics quite often date very badly. And it's only a short scene, but I just thought that was a really nice effect at the end when it all swirled around. So production and direction I just thought were great. Music was absolutely on point. Really creepy. Somebody did the music. I looked at the end.
Sam Watts.
To write down. Yep. Who is it? Sam
Watts.
Sam Watts, yeah, good score from him. Very creepy. So yeah, I just thought the overall production was once again bang on this. Really, really good.
Yes, me too. It's very clear that all the people that were working on Sarah Jane threw a lot of love and hard work into it because you can tell that it didn't have the same budget as Doctor Who, but in some respects, they kind of did better off for that. And I think this story is a perfect example of that, where they didn't have the money to just, throw a load of CG at it. So they relied on practical stuff. And I think that's better.
It certainly probably helps it to age better. I think practical effects always look better.
Yeah. And that effect at the end when Erasmus is being electrocuted or whatever, or the energy is being, that circle of light and stuff. And that looks really good still. Even that holds up. Good.
Yeah.
And before we get on to scores, I just want to mention I really like the little subtle influences from other films. So there was a nice little bit from The Shining where Clyde's running behind them. He turns around and there's the two kids holding hands in the corridor.
Yeah.
And then when he looks back, they're gone. Really nice little bit. And I like the Ghostbusters influence as well. So when Sarah Jane's looking through something, you see the books moving on the shelf behind her, which is like the bit in the library on the first Ghostbusters film at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then the creature that's outside, we didn't speak about that, but the creature that's outside.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
That's got the glowing red eyes. Looks like the terror dogs from the first Ghostbusters film.
Oh, a bit, yes.
And also the sound as well. Sounds a bit like a kind of growling big dog lion thing. So and they all actually mention it as well. I think they say, I wish I'd have had one of those proton packs like in Ghostbusters. So you can tell that they've drawn influence from some of those cool, creepy films and stuff. So Very, very good stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. Right, scores. I think it's you to go first, isn't it? Or was it me?
You go first.
I'll go first. Okay. I'm going to give this an 8.5.
An 8.5. Okay. The reason I wanted you to go first is, as usual, I'm a little stuck between two. I wrote down 7.5, but I kind of feel it deserves an 8 because the production was really good. I think I went 7.5 just because it's not up there with my favourite Sarah Jane episodes, but it is very good. I don't know what to score it. I need to quickly look at what I've scored the other Sarah Janes just to see. Oh, gosh.
While you're doing that, yeah. So I gave it an 8.5 purely because I just felt like it was a nice, subtle change to the SJA formula. Production's really, really good. Really scary, creepy story. Great one for the adults and the kids to watch.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was a really intriguing, well-written story. Really good.
I do absolutely 100% agree with you. I'm going to stick with my original 7.5.
7.5. Right.
Yeah, very good though. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. We had a couple of reviews in from our listeners. Obviously, our weekly reviewer, Sammy, from Down Under. Let's hear what she had to say.
All right.
G'day, Gary and Adam, Sammy Satine here. So, the Eternity Trap. Erasmus Darkness is a bit creepy. Donald Sumpter does a good job. He was in Series 9 playing Rassilon in the finale. You know that garden that Clyde and Rani walk into near the beginning? That's where Missy told the half-faced man he was in heaven after he and the 12th Doctor had a chat and deep breath. Lord Marchwood knows how to hold a sword. This would have to be one of the weaker Sarah Jane adventures for me. It's not terrible, but it just doesn't quite reach that standard we've come to expect. I give it 6 Erasmus Darkness out of 10. See ya.
Nice one, Sammy.
6, eh?
Deep breath. See, Sammy knows the episodes.
She does.
We should have her on standby. We should have her as our phone a friend.
Exactly.
We can't remember the episodes.
Thank you very much, Sammy. And the other one we had through was from Matt Steele.
Who are you going to call? Sarah Jane Adventures. Do-do-do-do-do-do. So, The Eternity Trap. Yeah, I thought this was a good episode overall. I thought it had some really, really creepy elements throughout. I remember watching this back in 2009, was it? On CBBC, absolutely crapping myself as a kid. I thought that the only thing that probably let it down was the kid scientist, Toby, I think he was called. I thought he was just really, really annoying. It was cool to see that the EMF reader that Toby was using had the Magpie Electronics or something label written on it. That was cool. I just thought this was really, really dark for Sarah Jane, which wasn't a bad thing at all. It worked really well. Overall, I'd give this probably an 8 out of 10. Cheers, guys. See you again.
An 8.
Cheers, Matt. I didn't spot the Magpie thing.
I didn't either. No. Good spot.
Oh, it's because Matt's got those superhero X-ray eyes. He spots these things. I'll have to have a look next time I watch it.
Magpie. What was that popped up in?
The Wire. The David Tennant story.
Oh, The Idiot's Lantern.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Magpie Records.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, good spot. Yeah. Thank you very much, guys, for your audio clips. Very much appreciated, as always. Over on Twitter, Jordan Shortman, one of our writers, said, I've always enjoyed spooky stories, and while this one might not be one of the best episodes SJA had to offer, I remember it really frightening me when I saw it on first broadcast. And Callum Blue used to play Zod in... Oh, there you go. Zod in Smallville. So I'm a little sad to see him underused here. Who else? Harry Gilsnan said, this is such a different type of story for Sarah Jane, relying on horror and ghosts rather than aliens. The writers managed to perfectly balance the story and sci-fi together to create a perfect spooky story. Love Sarah and Erasmus Darkening in this story. An 8 out of 10.
An 8, yeah.
Caitlin Dalek 100 said, it's a good story, a nice change for a new style, I suppose. I'm not quite sure where this horror ghost vibe came from, as I think it would seem kind of scary for younger viewers, wouldn't it? Reminds me of the McCoy story Ghostlight and the Smith story Hyde. She gives it a 6.5.
Okay.
And lastly, second to last, Sarah Jane The Running Hooving says...
Always running. Says, another great episode, an extremely chilling storyline with many spooky moments. It really kept me on the edge of my seat. Darkling was a creepy villain, and Marchwood and his children give the story great depth and helped move it along. Great performances by all the cast, a 9.5. And lastly, Dan Pin says, I couldn't remember a thing about this one rather than Floella Benjamin was in it, so I thought it was going to be a dud. Wrong! ! On second view, I loved it. It was fantastic. That scene in the nursery was so creepy. An 8 out of 10. Ah, lovely.
We had no reviews in on Facebook this week, so thank you very much, guys, for your audio clips and your tweets. Some decent scores there. I would say 8 is the average.
I think about 8. And I like that last comment as well. I really love it when we sort of either think we don't like a story or we've forgotten it, and then we watch it and we really enjoy it. I really like it when that happens.
Yeah, love that. Thank you very much, guys. Next week we are back to classic Doctor Who. What we got, buddy?
Yes, Jamie, Zoe, we haven't had a second Doctor story for a while. So we go. That was supposed to be the second Doctor. So we're going back to the second Doctor era and the Cybermen, because we're in the mood for the Cybermen with the new Doctor Who trailer. So Moonbase next week.
Very good stuff.
Yes, Jamie, Zoe, yes.
Yes, Jamie! Jamie!
I'm trying to I
can't wait to watch some Troughton. Feels like we haven't watched any Troughton for ages.
Well, I don't think we have. I don't think we've done a Troughton story for a while. What was the last one we did? I think you mentioned it earlier.
It would have been the Macra Terror.
Oh, the Macra Terror.
Back in April.
Because this Moonbase, this is part animated, part real story, because they lost a couple, haven't they? So this should be quite interesting. Looking forward to seeing the second Doctor.
Yes. Yeah, it'll be good. Right, cool. I think we'll wrap there, bud, for 248.
Alrighty.
Thank you so much for listening to episode 248. It's been good to talk through some of the early Christmas gifts that are coming through for Doctor Who. I wonder if many people will pick up the Mr. Men or Little Miss cushions. Look rather cute.
Very cute.
Yes.
Just want them pins.
Yeah, we'll let you know when those pins go on sale. Yeah. We don't know as yet, but hopefully will be pretty soon. They look cute as well. Great to talk through more Sarah Jane. We love the Sarah Jane adventures.
I am loving it.
Yes. Thank you so much for sending in your reviews. Very much appreciated, as always. Next week, the Moonbase, the second Doctor story. So get your DVDs out for that. Give that a watch, as we'll ask for your thoughts, as always. In the meantime, head over to our website, www.bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. You can listen to every podcast episode over there. Plus, we have a raft of awesome articles that come out every week from our amazing team of writers. Lots of reviews and editorials on all things Doctor Who over there. Remember to subscribe to our show on whatever podcast app you listen to for podcasts, so you don't miss a show when they land every single Friday. And we're on the socials as well, so Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Give us a like and a follow over there as we talk plenty of Doctor Who. And if you've got a minute to spare, if you could leave a review on Apple Podcasts, whatever podcast app you use, that would be great, because that really, really helps with our discoverability and all that jazz. And remember to check out my co-host's channel over on YouTube, The Geek's Handbag.
Yeah, The Geek's Handbag, yes.
Plenty of great videos over there to get stuck into. Unboxings, reviews, it's all over there. Just spend a couple of hours, grab a cup of tea and dive into that. We will see you next week for episode 249. Until then, my name's Gary.
Polly, Jamie, Ben. My name's Adam.
Jamie! Oh no!
Polly. I just realised Zoe's not in it. Polly, Ben, Jamie.
Until then, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember,